from recess. Up next on the agenda, we have the Department of Finance here to um, inform the committee of the department needs as well as any concerns they may have with the budget proposal. As you may know, Department of Finance Rota consists of 4 divisions. We have Finance and Accounting, Rev and Tax, Procurement and Supply, and then the Customs. Of the department's requests of about 1.5 million, the total ARPA proposed, general plus ARPA proposed is at 587,000. And so they're short of about 900,000. We've also noticed that there were several FTE requests that was not included in the governor's submission. Finance and Accounting is asking for 7. Governor had proposed 4. Revenue Tax, they're requesting for 6. Governor proposed 3. Procurement and Supply, the department requested 3. Governor proposed 2. And then we have Customs at 11. The governor proposed 10. And so we will hear from the resident director on these additional FTEs and what would that mean for the agency, for the department. And so at this time, I will now hand the floor over to the resident director to provide any remarks as well as any justification based on what they've submitted versus what the governor had proposed. And so, Artie.
Thank you very much, Chairman Manglonia. First off, welcome to all of you. Thank you very much for taking the time to come and have this hearing on our island. We also would like to thank your families for whatever arrangements you guys needed to make in order for you guys to be here these few days. Chairman, welcome back home. My name is Avery Hawcook. I'm the resident director for the Department of Finance. And the governor's proposal, like the mayor said, it's very alarming. And although we understand that he's going to be submitting another proposal, it gives us very little time to prepare and plan. And with the understanding that we have such limited time with the ARPA funding, it's very, it puts us back. In regards to just our current staffing, with the governor's proposal, we do see that there is a shortfall of $11,163.75 for the financial services that is not covered under the ARPA funds. And that shortfall is actually the retirement defined benefits portion for one of our staff. So we really need that to be covered. And yes, we are asking for additional FTEs, and actually we need more than what we had initially proposed. With the change of this new MUNIS system, with what we're experiencing now, we're actually going to need more than what we had initially proposed when we had submitted last year. We're actually going to need 2 more accountants for financial services. The system, it requires a lot of manual scanning and uploading and inputting and researching that was previously done in Saipan. So with our 1 branch manager and our 1 accountant, we are not able to handle the amount of workload that we're having. We've had to incur overtime that we previously, usually reserve for when we're preparing for the budget. Um, so we really need our accountant one um, to actually be promoted into an accountant three position. She's been with the department for so many years, and she's still an accountant one. She does the work of, you know, what five people would do with just her. Our accounting branch manager can't help with the workload because of how our approval levels work. So it is just her. She needs another accountant to assist her in all those reconciliation. And we actually have an additional division added on, and that is Treasury. So with the new addition of the Treasury division, we need a treasurer. We need two accountants to run the Treasury. Right now, we are operating with MOU staff from the Rota Mayor's office, and we had to pull one of the revenue trainees from revenue and tax to assist because we need two people in that division. One to be to serve as a cashier and the other to audit. Um, with the new system also, we would require a computer specialist to assist us with our technical issues that we have. Currently, we have to wait for a response through email or a call. And it sometimes takes us half of the day to even get online with a person. And by that time, the day is over and our work lapses. So this is something that I had asked last year, and I am asking again this year. With revenue and tax, that division is ran by three people who are tax tech ones. And with 973 taxpayers and 134 businesses, that is not enough people to run collections, compliance, um, do tax inputting, revenue enforcement, and everything else that they do in that division. That division needs a branch manager. We have an acting branch manager who is an MOU from the island of Saipan. He's been training people to get up to the standards of our central office. And for the past 2 years, he's shown that it is very evident that we need a branch manager. We need a revenue enforcement officer. We have our tax technician one doing that work. And we've actually done very well in terms of um, revamping enforcement in that division. So a lot of our businesses are more open to the new, not new, to the regulations that we're enforcing, to the regulations that they did not know we had, and everybody seems to be working with us to be in compliant. Um, we need a revenue agent for our collections so that we can start collecting here on Rota instead of waiting for when they can receive collections through Saipan. Saipan is overwhelmed with its own workload. It cannot also give us the attention that we require. We need a revenue agent for compliance, and that is also done by a tax tech one. These women served the department for over 10 years in the same salary that does not do them justice for the amount of work they do. Um, in procurement and supply, with the new system, we are going to need an asset manager. So that is why I'm asking for a supply specialist two in that division. Um, it's not, it's, I know it may sound like I'm asking for promotions at a time when money is a little bit hard, but I would not be doing my department justice to be asking for entry level positions for the work that needs to be done. Customs and biosecurity, I actually need 6 positions there. I have 6 people being MOU'd from the Rota Mayor's office that are working to man the ports that we have here, the airport, the seaport, and the post office. And we even extended our work week till Saturday to try to ensure that we don't incur overtime. Um, but even with that, they clock 3,000 hours. So we really need your guys' help. In terms of operations, if I was to try to even pick, because I did sit and try to think what would be my priorities. Everything is a priority, but we need new computer systems. We've been able to acquire 5, and we had to distribute that to whose work had to be, is like a daily and his computer is about to crash. We need computer systems in every single division. We need new computers. It broke my heart to know that the newest computer was the one sitting in my office. And that computer was 5 years old. With the new Munis system, we need a better and more updated computers. The administration needs a car. We would share that vehicle with revenue and tax, procurement, and the administration office. We have 2 vehicles for the department, and those are customs, but even those 2, they are breaking down. I do know that Customs Saipan had purchased a truck for Rota, and that should be coming down next week. And we're very grateful for that. But their current pickup is down. It is just parked. The lone sedan that we're using for all the other divisions, the AC is no longer working. And if we were to try to fix that car, it might give us 2 more extra years. But it's just not safe. Every work vehicle has a lifetime, and the department has exceeded the lifetime of those vehicles. So they really need a car. We also desperately need funding for our own building. We really would like to have a permanent home instead of renting. But with the cost of aggregate and all the materials to be flown in and having to find contractors, right now it is more feasible to rent. We need $60,000 for that because it's very difficult to find a place here to house the entire department with 35. And of course, we need our fuel. We have daily deposits. Customs and biosecurity has to clear containers. They have to go between ports. So all those things are needed. Communications, we need a phone, we need internet. We can't approve anything or do any of our work without communications. We need those reinstated. Freight, despite technology, we still have to pouch out documents. And that's how we receive our supplies also. Please forgive me, I'm actually sick, but it was very important for me to be here. Our operational supplies, I know when you guys look at, especially for customs, I'm asking for 125, but that is for yearly gun certification and recertification. We need to buy our own bullets. The new the newly graduated customs and biosecurity inspectors will be needing to be armed. We need those things for batteries, their uniforms, and biosecurity needs an incinerator. So when they have, things that they confiscate, like fruits or meats, they have to incinerate those things. We need a proper incinerator. And with everything that's going on in the world, and with technology changing and upgrades being needed, we desperately need to ensure that our staff receives continuous training. And a lot of that training cannot be done online or cannot be done here on Rota. We tried that route where we flew in the trainers to Rota, but unfortunately, our internet speed and their equipment, it was just very difficult. So we had to fly out our staff. And being that we're so far away from Saipan, we need to make sure that our people here know exactly what they're doing independently without needing to have, troubleshooting done until the next day. So I know it looks like I'm asking for a lot, but I promise you these people, they really need it. And I hope you guys can help. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to oblige you.
Thank you, RD Hoku. If we can just briefly, so briefly go over each division.
Sure.
I know you've listed several FD requests. So let's start off with, I know you said financial services. This would be finance and accounting, yes? Formerly business unit 1112.
Yes.
Would treasury be under this division?
Um, with our current staffing, we're using the accounting branch manager as the acting treasurer. And as busy as she is, it's difficult. It's very difficult. And so far, we've been doing okay, but I don't want to wait until there's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a very serious branch of the Department of Finance, and it needs its own treasurer. It needs its own accountants to run that branch.
Okay, so this would fall under the finance and accounting division, the treasurer.
It no, they would have their own.
Okay. And so for finance and accounting, you requested for two FTEs. This would be two accountants.
Two accountants. Yes, I need two
Accountant one?
accountants. Accountant one and an accountant three.
So one new accountant one, and then one promoting to
Yeah.
an accountant three, or just
Yes, one to be promoted to accountant three.
so you currently have an accountant one that you're proposing to get promoted to accountant three.
Yes,
So you would just need the difference in salary plus one new accountant.
yes.
Okay. And then for the way the budget was broken down by divisions, we'll at least for now include treasury in part of that division. And so what you're requesting for treasury is two FTEs.
I would need three. I would need a treasurer and two accountants.
So one treasurer, that would be the official title, treasurer.
Yes,
One treasurer and two accountant one.
accountant ones.
So looking at this division, so total of three accountant ones.
Yes,
one for the regular financial services, and then two for treasury.
Yes.
And then you are asking for one IT, if you would call it, computer
A computer
specialist,
specialist
one
one.
computer specialist one.
And that's an entry-level position in the IT.
But this would also fall under that division, the finance and accounting division,
No, that I guess
based on the four
would
division
be-
that's currently listed in the budget.
I'm not sure where if you were to try to peg them in one, but you could put them there because the administration is also placed there.
Okay. And then, so that's all I got for just, I guess, financial services total. Now for procurement and supply, you need two total, one supply specialist and one asset manager.
No, the supplies specialist two would function as our asset manager.
To what would be the official title? Asset manager.
No, the official title would be supply specialist two.
Okay, so overall for procurement and supply, you just need
Just one person.
one supply specialist.
Yes.
Now for revenue tax, you are requesting, you need one branch manager,
Yes.
one revenue enforcement officer,
Yes.
and one revenue agent.
Two revenue agents.
Two revenue agents.
Two revenue agents.
And so if we approve the new branch manager, what would happen to the MOU branch manager? Or are we trying to convert?
Well, I can't say whether he would apply for the
Okay,
position. It
okay.
is my great hope that he does.
So you would just want one funded under the
Yes.
Rota.
Because his term is limited here.
Okay.
He's I can't say how long.
Right.
We renew it every year.
Okay.
We're very fortunate to have him.
Okay. And so altogether, you would need 4 new positions, but for the current positions right now, how many of them are you requesting for a promotion? If you would
It
call
would be those three.
So 3
the-
current employees
Yes. The 3 current one would become the revenue enforcement officer, and then the other 2 would be revenue agents.
and then for customs, 6. You're requesting for 6 positions.
Yes.
Are they all the same positions?
No, I would need 3 officer ones, and those are promotions, promotionary positions that I'm requesting for, and 3 inspector ones. Those 3 positions that I'm requesting for promotions, they've served the department for over 20 years. So I think they're due. They're inspector ones.
Okay, so I'm sorry. The 6 positions that you're asking for are current filled positions, but you would just need them promoted.
Yes.
Okay.
The 3 that I'm asking for customs inspector ones, those are the MOUs from the Rota Mayor's office. I would like them to be civil service employees. So
Okay, so sorry. You would so you would need 3 new officer ones. The
3
one that
3 new inspector ones.
3 new inspector ones.
Yes.
And then the
3 officer ones would be
Promoted
for
for promotion.
promotionary positions.
Um, so last or the current fiscal year, the Office of Information Technology was given over $4 million. How much support are you getting from this division of the central finance?
Um, in terms of technical support, they try to be as available as possible to troubleshoot issues that arise. But as far as we try to request for an FTE, and I was told that they don't have anybody to spare. So the compromise was we were going to send two of our staff to incur more duties just to be trained so that they'd be able to function. But every person in that department, it has 2 to 3 unofficial titles and duties and tasks that has nothing to do with their original jobs, and it's not fair. They need somebody whose sole purpose is to be a computer specialist to address the Munis issues, to address the JDE issues. And I can't be having my accountant and my supply technician from procurement functioning as those, because if they're busy addressing computer issues, what about their job? And I don't believe I should be asking them to do more with their current salary. They're entry level, and they shouldn't be doing all of that work.
Uh, Thank you for that. Yeah, one of the concerns we saw with Tinian Department of Finance is that when they needed technical support, the department, the Tinian Finance had to pay for any support from Saipan to come over. Is that the same case with Rhoda?
If we had the funding, I would have paid for it, but we don't. So they've been gracious enough to send down um, tech support once a year. And that was when our system completely crashed and we had no access to the system. Um, for the Munis, they've been sending down trainers, but like I said, it's been difficult to train in an environment where our internet speed and our computers are not sufficient enough to even run the programs. We flew out our staff. We didn't shut down our operations. We just worked online, but we had to take the entire accounting division and fly them out to train on the system that went live, and we weren't ready. This this fiscal year, Rota received training after the system went live. So you know we made mistakes in how we ran the system. So a lot of our departments, it shows that they have they have a lot of negative in their funds, but actually most of it is just held in encumbrances. And we're going to be receiving training in a few weeks how to release and close those things. So, the fiscal year is almost done, and we are just receiving vital training to operate the system that runs the Department of Finance and the rest of the government. So, Rhoda really needs your guys' help to give us the funding to be capable to run our department. We have capable people. They just need to have the training. They need to be the resources to do their job. They've been doing their job, and they've been doing a very good job despite all our challenges. So when you guys are trying to divvy out the money that we have, please don't forget about us.
Thank you. Um, other than customs, what is the biggest expense of the department, with including, and this would be for the three other divisions?
The biggest expense for the department would be our operational supplies. A lot of that is shouldered by the Rota Mayor's office. And most of that is actually a decision that we made as a department whole because we desperately wanted our own space. So we're saving our funds to get a building. And things like supplies and, things that we, really didn't need, we just did without. So the most we would ever spend on is buying toners for printers. But we have printers that are breaking down. So we would like to buy new computers, but it's just one of those waiting games where we're going to see what is going to break down and what is our immediate need. And to be a Department of Finance, that should not be our problem. We should be capable and able to be financially capable of running our department. I shouldn't have to be worrying about whether the staff is really wasting ink when, we're the Department of Finance. We know that we use it. I shouldn't have to be telling them that if you can scan it or email it, please do it. And our biggest expense is operational supplies, but I can't say it's our expense because I'm having the mayor's office take care of that for me. So if you're asking how much do I cost the mayor's office, we cost the mayor's office about $2,500 every month in terms of operational supplies. We cut our fuel. I'm forcing customs to limit their fuel use to just what they can, instead of really going out and doing the stuff that they need to do. But understanding that the mayor's office subsidizes every other department, I have to make sure that our cost is not too great on him, because we have departments like fire and DPS that really need his help the most. So there's no frivolous spending in our department, and they really do need it.
Thank you. One last one before I hand it over to the members. How many computer systems would you need for the entire department?
We need 23.
23 computers?
We need 23 computers. The Office of Grant Management is trying to assist us with acquiring 19. We purchased 5, and we split that between the different divisions. But, we desperately need 23. 19 at least. We would like 23, but we will work with 19.
But right now, you may be getting 19 from
We
grants?
may be getting, yes.
Thank
Until those computers and printers reach my office, I'm going to ask you for it, because the intention is there, but you can only do so much with intention.
Thank you. I now open the floor to the members, and I recognize Rep. Staffler.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you for coming, Ms. Avery Hukuk. I heard you say that you are saving your funds to get a building. How are you guys saving your funds?
We have, if you look at our budget for financial services, we have like 60,000 in all others, and we are holding on to that for dear life. We would like to acquire the Jotun building here in San Paulo, and that's the very first building you see along the road after you pass the fire department. That building has 6 office spaces, that would be able to house the entire department. I would be able to pull out customs from the seaport and the airport and put them in one room, and have everybody all together. Right now, I don't know if you guys remember what we look like in the mayor's office. When you look at that space that we're in, you will not assume that there are 27 people in there, but there are 27 people that belong to that department. So we really need our own space. Right now, we have Treasury, Procurement and Supply Administration, and Financial Services all cramped in a room that is it's about the size of this bench area here. So tell me that we are able to do the work that we need to do in that environment. We are grateful for it because the mayor gave us that space, but we need a permanent home. The good people that work in that department need a permanent home.
Okay, and I guess that's where you put into your budget the $60,000.
Yes.
Okay, and it is not reflective in the governor's proposal,
No.
but it is something that you guys really want. So you're asking, you would like that in a rental?
Yes.
Okay, I guess I was confusing it with thinking that we were saving to purchase the building. I was like, how do we do that? No. Okay, I got it. I want to applaud you for, and your team for all of the cross training that they have done and have been able to maintain all of the services and needs as you were sharing. And I definitely think that you are absolutely correct about needing to make sure that the training is supported, especially with the transition onto these online programs and cloud-based services. And so I definitely can understand and support your advocacy in that. We can't work without the computers either. So,
Right.
Chairman, I yield.
All right. Any other members? Recognize Rep. Selena Babalta.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First question, how many MOUs does the entire Department of Finance have from the Office of the Mayor?
We have 6.
Only for the customs?
Yes, for the customs.
So earlier you mentioned you needed 6 employees for customs alone,
Yes.
3 inspector, 1 positions, and 3 officer positions? Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay, if we were to permanently transfer the 6 MOUs from the mayor's office to
Mhm.
the Department of Finance on the budget through either provision or moving FTEs around, would that be sufficient to satisfy the
The 6 people?
6 that you were asking for?
Yes, because those people who will be promoted, they'll be vacating their current positions. So, we were trying to work with OPM to see whether we could just promote them but, the answer from their office is we would have to open a new position and that they would have to apply, which, is disheartening for me because when you do it that way, anybody else can apply. And we would only hope that they would be able to get into those positions. So when they vacate the 3 positions that they're currently holding, it would open up their current FTEs for the other 3 to move in.
You said you have 6 current employees in the Division of Customs and Biosecurity, but your FY22 reflects 10?
No, we have 10. I'm saying we have 6 MOUs.
Okay,
6 MOUs from the mayor's office.
and that this 10 here that we're seeing does not include the 6 MOUs, is that
No,
correct?
I just-
Because they would be listed under the mayor's office. So for right now, for customs here in Rota, they have 16
Yes.
working for
Yes.
customs. And you would need an additional 6, or
I would need an additional 6, yes.
so a total of 22? Am I hearing that right?
No, the three positions would be for the three MOUs to enter in as inspector ones. Then the other three, the officer one positions, when they vacate that, the other three would be able to apply for their current positions, which is also inspector ones.
I see. The MOUs would
Yes,
apply for the,
for the
Um,
vacated positions.
yes.
Yes.
Okay, glad I understood that. In terms of your operations, you were talking about you needed one car, you needed at least 19 computers. Did I get that right? One car or two cars today?
We would like three, but we're just asking for one because Customs Saipan gave Customs
Okay.
Rota a truck. So I would only ask you guys to give us one more for the division of revenue and
Fine.
tax, procurement, financial services,
share.
and the administration to share.
Okay, so I hope I'm understanding everything that you have just told us. Grants, assuming that grants office will give you the 19 computers, okay? You need probably another 5, right? To make it, or how many do you need? 23?
We would just need the 19. We would just need the 19. If you're talking about need, I would like to have 23,
Okay,
but we desperately need 19.
so assuming they give you the 19, the grants
Yes.
office, um, 2 vehicles or one,
Yes.
but that's not an ideal situation.
No, it's not. It's not an ideal situation, but we don't have an ideal budget. So I'm thinking about my other departments. I have to think about my other departments. I process everything. So I see what we have and what our needs are. So I would like three, but I am just asking you guys for one.
So in terms of your operations only, not excluding personnel, how much would this cost? How much would your entire department, inclusive of your 5 divisions?
I'm sorry, I didn't even calculate all of that.
Do you have an estimate at least, or maybe?
Um,
Because
well,
you would also need, I just saw this on my notes. You would also need, you're asking for 125,000 for the
for
customs,
customs.
right? For their certification and recertification, bullets, batteries, uniform, and the like, operational. An incinerator, is that included in the
Yes,
125?
it's included in the 125.
So you're looking at least, and then you said you needed 60,000 for rental?
For rental, yes.
And is that for the entire Department of Finance?
For the entire Department of Finance, yes. Every
So
single division.
That's 125 plus the 60 plus the 19 computers, assuming grants office did not provide you, plus one vehicle at least for, so we're looking at least what? When I say 200, 225, maybe?
Maybe.
No, a little bit more than that. Or what? About 300 maybe would be a good ballpark.
Yeah, 300 would be a good ballpark. I'd have to get back to you on
Yeah,
all of that.
yeah, I'm not. And then you mentioned about the training for your staff that, you got the Munis training, your staff got the Munis training a little bit late after the system went live. Consider yourself blessed because we don't even have training and we have to approve stuff for our office. The only training, at least that I got, is to, provide for the login credentials and how to approve, and that's it. So,
Well, if you need help, you can call our office. I actually answer the telephones in my department because everybody else is busy.
okay. Okay, you mentioned 973 taxpayers and 134 businesses here on Rota. Approximately how much does revenue and tax collect in revenue and taxes, fees?
They average, their collections average about 40,000 a month. Um, what is that? So they really need a lot of help. They take turns cashiering,
Mhm.
and when one person is cashiering, that means somebody else has to do their job, or it's just on hold.
How's the enforcement of the revenue collection or tax collection here in Rota?
It was taking off because the last budget hearing, that was one of your guys' recommendations, and we took that very seriously. Assessing the department, we know that we needed to the enforcement branch to activate in order to collect. But unfortunately, the other the revenue trainee that was assisting the tech one moved to Saipan, so you can't go out and do enforcement by yourself. So whenever they have a window of opportunity, which is very near and very far between, they do go out. When they need a break and I see that they look like they're burning out, I send them out. They go out to the ports so that they can monitor the complaints that we get from the exporters that people are operating and exporting without a business license. So they check their business license. They work with customs. They're at the post office. They're doing a lot and trying to get as creative as possible, but it's very difficult when you don't have enough staff.
Okay. I will yield for now, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Rep. Rota. Any other members? Recognize Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair, and welcome again, Ms. Hokuk. So I was just curious, and maybe you probably explained this, but under customs, you wanted to promote 3 of the officer 1 positions, right, to officer 3 or 2?
No, I would like to promote 3 of our inspector ones
Oh, inspector 1s.
to officer ones.
So if that takes place where you promote your inspectors to officers, that would leave their current FTEs vacant for others to apply.
Yes, for the 3.
And so you're essentially asking for an additional 3 FTEs to accommodate the promotions.
Yes.
And do you have a cost figure that you have in mind for that?
So it would cost about roughly 200,000.
For the 3 positions?
Oh, no, for the I'm sorry. The officer ones, their entry level salary is 29,857.
So about 90.
So that's about what,
90.
120, right? And then the inspector ones, I'm sorry, I don't know why I have it down here as inspector twos. But the inspector ones, they come in at 21,000. So that's probably why I was. So that is about 65.
Okay. Okay. For the car that you are requesting, what type of car are you looking for so that we can kind of gauge how much that?
For its dual use, the ideal car would be a pickup truck.
So
That way procurement could use it to when they go out to pick up government items, when they need to confiscate things, when they need to pick up cargo,
So we're looking at roughly 50K.
like 50,000 and including the shipping.
Got it. For training and travel purposes, how much are you looking at, and how many employees are you thinking of sending to training?
Uh, when we crunched it down to the lowest we could go, we had asked for 15,000 for every division. That way, whoever previously went, I guess you're not going next year, and and we're just going to keep it like that. Um, with that 15,000, almost everybody in each division would go except for customs. But with customs, we would send off people who would be subject matter experts anyways. So they would never really need the entire division to leave. Last year, we had sent every single person up to attend a modified academy. And we were gracious. We were very grateful and blessed that between the mayor's office and Customs Saipan, they foot that bill. So,
And so you had mentioned that the cashiers would take turns sometimes, or maybe I'm trying to clarify, maybe some of the other positions would cashier? Is that-
all three positions in revenue and tax cashier, they have a schedule, and that way they could take care of their other responsibilities on the days that they are not cashiering.
Okay.
We cut off at 1 p.m. so that they would have time to consolidate, get to the bank, and close their end of day business. And despite initial public, issues, they realized that they were actually able to conduct their business with that shortened time period.
Do you see that as a concern for internal controls, possibly? Just because you want to try and segregate the duties, right? So that you
Yes.
can isolate issues and concerns should they arise. So do you feel that that's something that I mean, is it
It poses a very big
a high risk?
internal concerns because their workload lapses. Their workload really lapses, and then it turns into one of those situations where who needs to actually not cashier today because their workload is getting too much. But they've worked with each other for so many years that they know how and when are the peak periods for business licenses, for taxes. They know, they've learned to adjust themselves,
Sure.
but they really need help.
I guess I'm just looking at it from an internal control standpoint where
Yes.
you need the checks and balances, right? So you want the cashiers to just be cashiering, and then you want someone else to do the reconciliation so that there's no
Yes.
conflict in the end.
I mean, when you're very busy and you have a lot of workload, something's going to be missed.
Sure.
And before, when we used to open the window up to 4:30, we had issues where they couldn't balance. And part of it was not so much that the money wasn't there. It was, they made mistakes along the way because they were cashiering for 5 minutes. They ran back to their office, their desk to do business license, and then somebody walked in, then they get up. There's going to be errors along the way
Absolutely.
because you cannot finish a TAN. So yes, it does pose great internal issues.
Okay. That would be all. Thank you.
Thank you, members. In the interest of time, we'll take one more. All right. If none for the first round, then we'll close out with Rep. Selena.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was curious about the 60,000 that you said you were holding on to dear life for
Yes.
your building.
Yes.
Does the Department of Finance here have a revolving account that you keep that in, or how does that work? Does it not have any fiscal year limitation?
No. That was, what they had put out for our operation supplies, our office supplies, our fuel.
In the current budget?
Yes, in the current budget. And when the staff comes and they say they need paper, I'm looking at them like, do you really need paper? And, then it turns into, can we get it from the mayor's office? And of course, the mayor will always say yes. So we get it from him.
How long do you plan to hold on to this 60,000?
We were hoping to ink this week because the building,
To use it up?
yes,
To,
the
okay.
building is available this month. We had to wait for them to finish their construction.
Okay.
So I said we've been holding on to it for dear
Okay.
life.
That was a little baffling. I thought you guys had a revolving account
No.
or a slush fund or.
I wish if you guys are
Because
willing to
at the
give
end
us.
of the year, it goes back
Yes.
to deficit reduction. I'm sure you understand that. That was it. That was all my.
Thank you.
Last minute request. We'll take one more.
Sorry. Thank you, Chair. So real quick, did you say you currently don't have an incinerator?
They have a drum that they're using to incinerate stuff in, but that's not what they're supposed to be using. So they need an incinerator.
Okay, because I guess the question that I was going to get to was how do the customs dispose of confiscated items
Yes.
if you guys don't have an incinerator?
They
So-
use a oil drum.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Vice Chair. All right, if none, at this time, thank you, Resident Director Hokuk, for taking the time to meet with the committee, as well as for your patience this afternoon. Um, while we are anticipating a revised budget July 1st, should there be a significant change to the department's budget, we'll reach out to you, as well as if you see something that has changed not in favor of Department of Finance, Rota, please feel free to reach out to our agency, to the committee, as well as any additional requests that you may have that wasn't discussed today, but you would like for the committee to deliberate on. Feel free to reach out to any of the committee members. And so with that, thank you again for coming in today. And just I know this is not really in regards to budget, but she is the mother of the student that provided his public comment yesterday, and so thank you.
Thank you
for
guys
that.
so much for being so kind to him. He really worked hard. But he was so nervous. So thank you guys for making him feel very comfortable.
Thank you.
Oh, very proud. Very proud. That's what we work for, moments like that.
Yeah. So thank you, Resident Director. And at this time, we will take a 5-minute recess to allow the transition of the next agency.
Thank you guys very much for your time and attention, and have a safe flight home. Please enjoy the Rota for the rest of your stay.
Thank you. Short recess. from recess. And just for the record, with no objections from the members, we'll proceed with commerce first and then labor after. All right, thank you. Up next, we have the Department of Commerce. Before us, we have the Resident Department Department Head Dean Magnolia. The department had submitted a budget request of 410,137, and had also requested 7 FTEs. But the governor's proposal only provided for 5, and total ARPA and general fund of 243,337. That computes a shortfall of 166,800. And as we've seen from all other agencies, operations have been taken off, which only provided for the OPA fee. And so what we would like to hear from RD Manglonia is what were the 2 additional FTE requests for, as well as what are some of the operational needs, to include what are the biggest expenditures of the department. And so with that, I now hand the floor over to Department of Commerce.
Thank you, Chairman Manglonia, and buenas and tiro to all the members of this wonderful committee. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Department of Commerce. So the Department of Commerce is laying out a lot of new initiatives, basically, where we're planning on opening up 4 programs for the local business community, specifically 1 for farmers and fishermen, 1 for manufacturing, 1 for e-commerce, and 1 for youth entrepreneurship. So that's the key initiatives that we've been really driving for the department. Now, in terms of our budgetary needs, and in reference to the governor's budget submission for fiscal year 2023, I see I have a copy, and I did provide a copy to all the members. It's the one highlighted in pink. Basically, like the governor is proposing to award the Department of Commerce, or allocate, apologies, $121,000 and $121,063, and for all others, $122,11. That's probably for OPA costs. So there's some concern with regards to this, because in light of the new funding source with ARPA. So we were advised that we were able to hire new employees. So instead of doing that, I decided to focus my attention on increasing the salaries of my current employees. In fact, it was because of ARPA that I was able to bring back an employee that we had to furlough as a result of a cost reduction measure. So his salary at the time after I brought him back was actually 100% covered by ARPA. And I was able to transition the employee to another position, and then that's the justification for the additional costs that's been implemented. So yes, definitely. I mean, the department has a lot of needs, and its most important resource, and that's vital to the department, is its human resource, and that's also the most expensive. So definitely we do put great value into our people, and we want to make sure that they're able to serve the community and have that continuity of service. And it's actually the whole key area of the department is to make sure that we are able to provide administrative services, law enforcement, especially during COVID. We were tasked by the governor's office to execute additional directives, and that actually put a lot of strain in our operation, especially because we have only one law enforcement officer in our office. So we really had to cross train, other personnel and try to get them to assist in any way possible. So yes, now key ask, and if I could, I noticed with the budget. I mean, with the governor's current submission and with what's actually reflective upon what we're actually operating on, we would probably need a little bit more in terms of the general funds, approximately 41,937 to be exact. That's for fiscal year 2023, and that's if ARPA is not, that 20% is not covered through ARPA. So ARPA currently covers 416 hours. That equates to about $28,106. So in combination, it would help alleviate, the stress and help us cover the costs for our employees. So in terms of the positions that I've asked for, so for the new positions and excluding the statistical technician that is currently vacant, I was asking for a economic development officer. Purpose, purpose behind this ask is that I was working along with SBDC, working with NMC, PSS, and I'm part of the key planners for the Enos Innovation Business Bootcamp, which was very successful. We operated last summer, actually. So they were able to graduate, not graduate, but 11 students participated, and then they were able to get 3 college credits from the Northern Marianas College. So it was a very successful program, and that's part of the programs that the Commerce really wants to initiate, is to try to provide programs for youth entrepreneurship, and other things. So very key to our focus is trying to develop the business resource center, and hopefully it grows into a business incubation center, should funding permit. So it's actually an incubation center. It's a lot larger in scale, but for the meantime, and with the funding issues that we have, we want to be able to still provide a service, provide a place where entrepreneurs can meet, have discussions, focus groups, and then also learn from these different agencies and these different institutions that provide educational services, especially during these tough times, when businesses are trying to develop. So yes, I'm aware that there are funding sources that will be available, for small business. So we want to be able to offer them guidance, in the sense that they don't feel like they're on their own. So Commerce is really focused on its mission and just trying to provide that additional service and try to grow the economy in that way. Yeah, that is my key ask. Other than that, also important. So we're going to be opening our computer program soon, and very exciting. And we're actually going to need the communications budget. I know we budgeted around 3,200, which is not a lot, but we are upgrading from 30 megabits per second on the DSL to 60 megabits, which is the fastest internet speed they have on island. And it's important that we have that. That way, our entrepreneurs are able to work, at full speed without anything hampering uploading and and those learning programs that we're going to be offering. So yes, if you have any questions, please feel free.
Thank you, RD Manglonia. Earlier you mentioned you needed 41,000, sorry, the exact amount, 937? 41,937 under the general fund.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that is correct. So this is just my calculation, but of course I'm going to go to OMB with regards to this. So I was doing the calculation, and with regards to the governor's proposal at 121,063. So it looks like if we were to excluding the position statistical technician and the existing salaries at 20% baseline, it will amount to $163,000. That's not including ARPA. If ARPA was to be included, ARPA would assist in 416 hours of pay at their pay rate, and then it will amount to $28,106. So all in all, combined, ARPA and the baseline salaries for these current employees would be amount to $188,634. Oh, forgive me, minus the statistics, so it's $163,000.
The for the current fiscal year, the Commerce was given 7 FTEs. Um, how many? Well, I can pull it up, but do you know how many was for under general fund?
Currently, we have 4 under the general fund, and my only hesitation is because ARPA is a temporary funding source.
Yeah.
And should I absorb an additional FTEs, the general fund will have to pay for those. And I'm
Right.
not too sure with our current economic condition that we can be able to sustain additional employees. So, which is why I was more focused on getting their pay increase,
Right.
and then reclassifying the employees to make sure that they're out of the ARPA and then less dependent on ARPA and more focused on. So that's just a little bit more pragmatic in my opinion than to hire a lot of FTAs and then
Right.
in the future we have to start letting people go.
So under the general fund, though, that 1 FTE, which
Yeah.
I'm assuming is a statistical technician,
Mhm.
are you still planning to fill that up?
I would actually, because we have a lot of data collection activity that's going to be coming down the pipe, I would like to retain that FTA. But in terms of department needs, critical needs, what we do need is enforcement and compliance. Somebody in ABTC, because I have one law enforcement officer on island. If he gets sick, if anything happens, knock on wood, he is the only law enforcement officer I have. I would have to, so we have to have that redundancy and have make sure that we have backup. So basically that's why it's really important that we have 2 law enforcement officers rather
Okay.
than 1.
So you're proposing right now for 1
Mhm.
ABTC law enforcement officer trainee,
Yes.
1 economic development officer 2,
Hmm.
and 1 enforcement and compliance trainee.
Yes, that third one will actually fall under our division of weights and measures, which is also a need. And because we don't have 1 enforcement compliance officer, that have sent my staff off island to get additional training and refreshers, so to make sure that they understand the technicality of the process of what they're doing, and making sure that that the businesses are in compliance.
Okay.
In other words, they're all important
Right.
important positions, and I would love if this body would be able to fund them all. But I am realistic, and I do know that we are in a very tight position in terms of the government budget.
Does Commerce have any revolving fund account, at least for
We
municipality?
do, and that revolving fund has been transitioned over to Munis. It's a 1959B. I don't know what's the object code or the, but I can do a follow up, Mr. Chairman, and give you that information.
Would this be for?
This is under ABTC collection.
Do you know what
Under-
the fund balance is in that account?
I have that in my desk. Yeah, and it was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the last check-in was like February of this year.
Would the collections that you get in a year be enough to fund 1 FTE under the ABTC?
Next, I'm not too sure if you were able, because it really depends. I mean, because yeah, we do have that specific fund, that specific revolving fund. It has a very specific, like there's a law, it's very specific ways on how you can use it. Like you cover overtime pay for an employee and things like that. So I'm not too sure. I need to look back into the regulation to see if you were able to utilize those funds to actually hire the employee. But I did use that fund to purchase a computer for. So now all my all my staff have brand new computers. So definitely moving forward.
Does your department have any MOUs currently?
We had two, both of them resigned for personal reasons, but we did had two very, very good MOUs. We wanted to transition them over to civil service, but they had personal things going on, so that
So
they
none right
chose
now.
to. Not right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you list down again the 4 programs that you're currently
Okay,
pushing?
so I'm working with the International Economic Development Council and developing these programs. So the 4 programs is basically a business program for manufacturing, farmers and fishermen, e-commerce, how to set up an e-commerce business, and one for youth entrepreneurship. So those are the ones that we're really focusing on trying to develop here in Rota.
And to fund these programs, you're currently using your operational budget?
We were lucky enough, after negotiation and a lot of discussions with the Office of Grants Management, they were able to fund us with computers, so that we can launch our e-commerce website on our operating budget right now. Um, not really. We're not using our operational budget for the business incubation center, but we I'm working with partners, and then they did through talks, they did offer to actually hire a staff to conduct the program. So we're moving forward in the right direction, Mr. Chairman. But I'm definitely I'll be more than happy to keep this committee posted on my
Okay.
on my efforts.
All right. Thank you. At this time, I open the floor to the members. I recognize Rep. Selena Babalta.
Just one question. I noticed on your budget request, you requested $20,000 for construction and improvement, but yet you requested none for repairs and maintenance. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering why.
So yeah, yeah.
Can
So
you
yeah.
describe
So
that?
basically, the building that we're currently at was actually a renovation project. So I can I was we basically it was a CIP project that was successful, but unfortunately, when it comes to the restroom, the cost that the contractor came up with was just phenomenal. It was just way too high. So that's why I actually wanted to, see if I could do at least a surface repair to make the restroom functional, so that people can actually utilize the facility. Um, but then I had PEX, which is the Pacific Engineering Group Services, that works with CIP, to do an assessment on the repairs, and the budget that I requested isn't enough. Isn't enough, unfortunately. So it's just the nature of the business. The construction business is just getting way too expensive. So it's even if I do get allocated with that funding, it wouldn't be enough. But then good news is that the CIP office uh, did do a second inspection, and they're planning on moving forward and getting that building repaired. Labor, by the way, which is the directors are sitting right behind me, is actually took the initiative to repair a restroom using their own budget, which is a very I'm very grateful, that she took the initiative to go ahead and have that available, and then now there we have a working restroom in our building.
Another one.
Uh-huh.
I noticed you requested zero for fuel and lubrication. Everybody that has come before this committee has fuel, seems to have fuel as one of their priorities and one of their biggest costs in their budget, or a significant portion of it.
Yes.
But you requested zero. How many vehicles does the Department of Commerce have here?
The Department of Commerce has 2 vehicles, and
Are they solar powered, or because you didn't
apologize.
request for fuel?
Thank you for that catch. It might have been an oversight, Mr. Chairman. I would love to correct that, and just put a little note in there to please give us fuel. Yes, we do need to get around, and but yeah, definitely. Fuel is a good catch. Thank you, Congresswoman, for that. Yeah, I mean, we're to err is human, so
So you don't have a Tesla.
I don't. I wish, and we should all drive Teslas. To be honest, Rota should be a solar city of the Marianas. So yeah, there's a hopefully a movement for the future.
Ah, yeah.
What's your fuel budget for what's your monthly usage?
Fuel, I could put fuel at about $300 per month. That's and it goes up and down. There are times when we spend more or less, but with this increasing fuel prices, it's gonna be more. So definitely, it's about 300 a month. To answer your question, Mr. Chairman.
Do you know how many active licenses are there um, for alcohol and tobacco?
Um, let me have to get back to you on that. I do want to give you an accurate number, and I don't just want to throw up, especially in a public forum. So I could get with my AO and provide you that information,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
I recognize Red Rectama.
Yes. In actuality, we had conversations with my staff, regarding the selection of the equipment. And certain equipments have a tendency to break down a lot faster, and like the ink is it's an exorbitant amount. It's really really expensive. It almost like we could buy a new printer with just a purchase of ink, but yes, that is inclusive of printers and other equipment and appliances. To answer your question, yeah, yes, yeah, yeah. Oh, yes, yes. That's actually no, but I think Saipan does have that. It's really expensive though, and I have to say. No, we were actually planning on purchasing one, but the thing about that equipment is like not anybody can operate it. There is training required, to in order to operate and make sure that the system doesn't break down. It's pretty complicated. That from what I was told, it's not. You do need training on the machine itself, and you do need training on the program and the computers in order to make sure that everything is in alignment and things like that. It's a pretty significant cost. It is, but that's how would I put it? That's one of the like aspirational goals for the department. That's something that we really are trying to get put in place. So because if by having that, it's called positive identification, we can actually see that the person is trained. This person serving alcohol is trained, and that the business is licensed to execute those sales transactions. Yeah.
Thank you. Just to follow up on Red Rectama's inquiry, it, this is not something that you can like use the Rota Mayor's ID for and just have another set of format that could print out IDs for. I didn't really catch what Rectama was saying, but
Mhm.
for rather than invest in a new machine, maybe have a different format for um, alcohol and tobacco.
Um, I like where you're going with this, Mr. Chairman. Let me explore that option. I've never really thought about it, but yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. But
Yeah.
then again, there is a Real ID Act that they're implementing soon, and then I think the Rhode Mayor's office is going to take part of that. So I'm not too sure if they want to commingle our information,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So that's my only
Yeah.
but good idea.
Thank you. All right, members. Anyone else?
Yes.
Recognize Rep Sablon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Director, for your presentation today.
Thank you.
I was just reviewing the performance measures that you provided in your budget proposal. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I wanted to ask you, what kind of changes, if any, hopefully improvements, have you seen since fiscal year 2020 in terms of the numbers of businesses that are operating in Rota? I did notice, your registrar of corporation services jumped from 32 in fiscal year 2020 to 119.
Yes.
And I think the director before you from finance mentioned that there's 136 businesses like currently operating. Is that consistent with your data?
Those actually translate into like how do you call it, administrative stats. So basically the AO collect every transaction, every inquiry, she captures that information and then stores it. She logs it in and then submits it in her monthly reports, and that's how that number was compiled.
I see. So have you seen businesses that had shut down since the beginning of the pandemic like reopen, and have you seen new businesses that didn't exist before? Are you seeing any improvements like that as a result of your efforts and your
Yes,
partner agencies?
we did. I think Director David Martita we did execute a survey to try to capture that information and how many businesses have been impacted as a result of COVID-19.
Yeah.
And I've seen. I mean, yes, I've seen new businesses pop up, and then I've also seen businesses close down. And then there's also businesses where they apply for or people that have applied for business license and never operate. I don't know. They never operate, but they have a business license. But I think they're having trouble finding a business. So I think the dream is there, but that's why we want to open the business incubation center so we can offer them guidance and then have them, follow steps. This is what you need to do in order to accomplish those goals. So
I'm really happy to hear that you're working with the SBDC.
Yes, we are.
Like now that we have our own CNMI SBDC network, Rota should have full access to those resources as well, and the small businesses here too.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to also ask, are you planning to do another entrepreneurship boot camp?
We are. It's in the works. In fact, I just need to get with my counterparts. The principal of RHI, Dr. Rita junior and senior high school. She Tani Denise King, right? So we actually alerted me that they're going to launch it again, and then specifics on the details. They said they're going to focus on marketing this year.
Okay.
So this year's main focus is marketing.
Okay, and so for programs like that, are those included in your budget proposal? Like in terms of like the operational expenses or the staff that you might need to support those programs?
Yeah, actually, that's PSS was nice enough that they said they could provide a staff, to run the program, because the teachers do sometimes want to work during the summer, and then they were able to provide the staff as long as we develop the curriculum together, and then we're able to provide the things that the students are able to learn. Like a lot of like one of my interests or areas of interest is actually like intellectual property. How do people generate income from an idea, right? So so actually talking about starting this is off tangent. Starting a nonprofit for it's called Mariana's Open Innovation Council. It's basically also something that I was planning on trying to help entrepreneurs protect their business ideas, understand copyrights, patents, and trademarks, and make sure that they know those different areas of business.
Yeah. Wow, that sounds very promising.
Yeah.
And my last question: your report or your proposal also mentions coordinating this. Is it like this export training with the Department of Commerce on Saipan with a STEP?
Yes,
right?
step. Yeah.
And I was curious, are there any export products now being produced out of Rota?
Yes, there are a lot of export products that are being produced, and that's one of the goals of that export program that we wanted to start, is to try to get more people involved in the process of added value added, and then exporting, of course.
Yeah.
So there is a program, the State Trade and Expansion Program under the
Mhm.
Department of Commerce,
Mhm.
and it is basically the whole premise behind that program is to try to enter foreign markets. Now we're in Asia. We should be doing a lot better than because of our close proximity to our $1 billion neighbor,
Mhm.
the $1 billion economy. So I keep trying to emphasize, we really need to develop manufacturing, and
Okay.
I have to specialize it because our land area is so small. Rhode is just 32.395 square miles, and if we don't specialize, we really cannot, go.
Yeah.
We gotta
So are we exporting to foreign markets now, or just within the region? Like,
we're in U.S. markets right now.
Okay.
Not a lot of exportation to foreign markets, but we are working on
like
it.
to Guam.
Oh
And
well, Guam isn't considered a foreign market. It will be a U.S. Export. But so in terms of Guam,
like,
we
what are we exporting? I'm
sweet
that's
potato, sweet
a
potato.
sweet potato. Okay.
I think
Okay.
the last count was 146,000 pounds of sweet potato was
Okay.
exported to Guam
Wow.
that I'm aware of. So we are pretty aggressive with our export. So
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So the next step that you're looking at is exporting
Yes.
value added.
value added. So instead of
Products, okay.
sweet potato waffles, sweet
okay.
potato fries.
Okay.
Let's try to
Wow.
get more creative and then a longer shelf life. And
Yeah.
so that's just really what we're trying to
Okay.
do.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman,
you.
I yield.
Thank you, Rep. Sablan. Already, I don't see any data on beetle nut. Do you also track?
We do, and I think with the way my administrative officer collects information, she just kind of blankets. But we do have data on our centric report, which is offered to in regards to the revenues generated through our beetle nut, alcohol, and tobacco collections.
You know how many licenses are there?
Um, Again, I need to go ahead
Okay,
and
that's
verify,
fine.
and then I will be more than happy to provide the
Okay,
information.
thank you.
Yes.
All right. Last call for members. I recognize Rep. Staffler.
I just want to commend you on your budget proposal. This is the most comprehensive one that I've seen so far.
Oh, thank
I
you.
really like the way you've broken it down in elements.
Mhm.
And is this format used in any other department? I'm curious. No? I think this should be the standard, to be honest.
Oh,
This is
wow.
what
Thank
I
you.
expect and what I'm
High
used to.
praise.
And I think this is how all people should do it. So good job.
Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you, Rep. Staffler. Any other members? Just one last clarifying question before we excuse Commerce. Can you just rank your need of the FD by importance from being, which would be the most important to which you can continue to operate without?
That's you hit the nail right on the hammer. That's so because we can actually if I was going to rank the importance and because the fact that the employees can easily be cross trained, so I would say the ABTC law enforcement officer trainee. We can easily be cross trained to carry out enforcement and compliance duties and responsibilities. Economic development officer, I can work with my partner agencies and see how we can provide even remote, even through Zoom. We can continue to provide the training for small businesses. I mean, it's not about being the lack of resources, just being the lack of resourcefulness. So I'll try to be more resourceful. But yeah, definitely. And to answer your question, Mr. Chairman, it's the ABTC law enforcement officer that I believe is the most important.
Are you looking for an actual officer or a trainee for now and then proceed?
I believe we do have a lot of graduates from the law, but it's not a guarantee. If I open up a position, we might not be able to fill it simply because there might not be any police officer that wants to transition over to ABTC. So initially, it would be good to start off with a trainee, get them to understand the ropes, and then in the future provide budget to go ahead and send them to law enforcement academy.
Would any any individual who had undergone DPS, customs, or CPA, would they qualify to go directly
Oh,
Or-
yes, yes.
Yeah.
If they have the law enforcement background, they can definitely apply for the position. They would qualify.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
All right, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you, Artie. If there's any significant changes between now and July 1st, or if there's something that maybe we've missed in today's budget hearing, feel free to reach out to any of the committee members, um, and we'll deliberate on that after we get the revised budget. And so, with that, thank you again, and please, you are invited to. If you have any comments to provide in this afternoon's public hearing,
Oh, yeah.
we welcome you to stick around.
Yeah.
Thank you, Artie.
Thank you. I wrote something, so
Thank you.
Thank
At
you.
this time, members, we will take a 5-minute recess to allow the next agency to set up. Short recess. Members, we now rise back from recess. Up next, we have the Department of Labor. The Department of Labor submitted a budget request of $518,024. Of that amount, 311,895 is for personnel, 206,129 is for operations. Based on the governor's submission of the general fund and ARPA, uh, he proposed a total of 202,039. That leaves a shortfall of 315,905. Additionally, the department is requesting for 9 FTEs. Last fiscal year, or the current fiscal year, they were given 7 FTEs. And now the governor is proposing 5 FTEs. And so we have resident department head Christine Cabrera before the committee, and at this time I would like to hand over the floor to RD Cabrera if you have any opening remarks.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate the opportunity that you guys have given me today. And thank you for your presence. Welcome to Rota. And although that's such a huge shortfall, you might look at it that way. I do have a lot planned out for this new fiscal year. Since I have taken this position as the head of Department of Labor, we have not a lot of money to work with. And I think it's very important that we do reach out to the communities and also support the current workforce. And whether it's in the form of training, whether it's in the form of education, that's the reality of this government, to provide the needs of its people. So with that, thank you very much, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Director Carrera. Looking back at the Public Law 22-8, which is the current fiscal year, you were given 7 FTEs. Can you please explain what happened to the 2 FTEs?
Yes, Chairman. I was given 7 FTEs. 5 of those are currently occupied by the employees we have right now, to include myself. The additional 2 FTEs was approved for my department. However, I did not have the funding to hire. So I really thought that was strange, how I was given the 2 additional FTEs without the funding for them. And today, I'm asking for 2 more. So with this whole year of observing the department, how it works, I realized that there's a lot of factors under the Department of Labor that lacks manpower. We lack the manpower to produce the data that might possibly even get us grants from the federal government, to maybe produce more training, or send people off. So I am not sure how that happened, where I was approved 2 additional FTEs without the funding, but it did occur, and that was really strange. So with that, I went to the Mayor Atalik, and I was asking for his help with possibly funding the 2 FTEs that was given to the department. However, it was rejected by OMB due to the fact that the mayor's accounts were in the negative. So I had no other option but to disregard the 2 FTEs. until such time that I can find the funding for it. If you turn to page 8, I'm sorry, I didn't number the booklet that I gave you guys. This lists down the department initiatives that I have planned out for the new fiscal year. So the first one,
Sorry, what will be the title of the page?
department initiatives, B.
Thank you.
Good. So I find it very important that we encourage competitive salaries and make sure that we have it, that they're attractive and they're comparable to other states. I did recommend to have the Fair Labor Standard Act with CNMI leaders and federal entities to revisit this act. But with the upcoming hearing, after this budget hearing, I hope that we're able to discuss that more. I also wanted to provide training to ensure that individuals remain competent and gainfully employed. I do see a lot of inconsistencies with even the government sector as well as the private, that not everyone has the proper training to conduct their duties. And it's pretty sad. We want everybody to be up to par with the rest of the world. We have other entities that are conducting outreaches on what they offer, NMTI, NMC. Not only that, we do have online colleges with the US. So we would like to pave their way. We would like to guide them in becoming successful. Under 1C, this is where I requested for the 2 additional FTEs, which is for a job placement officer and a job placement assistant. These 2 positions are very important to the Department of Labor because they are the ones that actually track the trends of employment. They actually track what the island needs in terms of careers and what industry is booming and what we need to support with, with that agency or career. B2 is to educate all workforce on policies with both state and federal labor regulations. And with that, members of this Ways and Means Committee, I can barely do that. We only have 1 working vehicle, and it's a sedan. I can't have my people go and visit quarries and see if they're abiding to OSHA laws and regulations because we can't access it. So I was really hoping by today I would have had at least 2 vehicles, 2 additional vehicles under the Department of Labor. But unfortunately, I come to you with the same status as I came to you last year. 1 RAV4 that since, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, the last time we had it repaired, it cost us about $4,000. It doesn't make sense anymore. With this pandemic especially, it forced us to become more savvy, tech savvy, because we can't communicate the way we normally do. It forced us to go digital, to email, to hold meetings via Zoom or, And those are the capabilities that I would like to provide to the workforce. I would like to find somebody to train our people, be it the government or the private sector, and maybe help them to get with the times. You know, we can no longer keep faxing stuff. I haven't seen a fax machine since I don't know when, to be honest with you. And I'm still getting a request from departments to fax documents. And I'm like, I don't own a fax machine here at our department, I'm sorry. So, I mean, these are the things that we have to do in order to upgrade and to keep up with the rest of the world. Okay, lastly, I think I touched up a little bit on our number 4. So that is to transition departmental technology and processes into a streamlined and efficient vehicle to provide effective customer service. So we just need to update our infrastructure in terms of network and how to do things basically on the computer. So with that, let me just add on a little bit to that. We have computers since more than 20 years ago, maybe. When we turn it on, it makes all kinds of sounds, like it's I don't know, a vacuum cleaner maybe. It's starting to sound that way. So those are things that we absolutely need to replace and to receive training to operate it and to use it to its fullest potential. So with that, thank you very much, members. I'll take your questions now.
Thank you, Artie Cabrera. So on top of the 5 that are currently budgeted, you are needing a job placement officer, a job placement assistant, and was there additional?
Yes, sir. And I would like to request for 2 labor law enforcement technicians. I'm sorry, let me just confirm. Specialist 1.
Labor law
2,
enforcement specialist?
That's correct, sir.
2 of that?
2
2.
of that, yes.
Does the department get any of the CW fees?
No, sir, we don't. To my understanding, it goes to, I'm not sure whether it's NMC or NMTech. It's one of the support entities.
No, but I think the administration, what they've set aside for administration, nothing comes here.
No, Mr. Chair.
How's the WIA program here?
So with Director Frances Torres, she's a very approachable individual. She's really dedicated to ensuring that Rota receives the same services that Saipan does, as well as Tinian, I'm hoping. So they do make quarterly visits to Rota. And as a matter of fact, we have a Career Connect and Job Fair event that's coming up on June 3rd. You are all invited. And she's going to be here for that event as well. So she often makes trips to Rota with her team and conducts outreach with the community.
Does Rhoda and Tinian get a certain number of slots, or there's no limit? Or
Well, I have no personal knowledge as to how many employees we have funds, but I do contact Director Torres in the event that a department head is requesting for assistance from WIA. So far this year, I've had 3 departments ask for WIA's assistance. So,
but would you happen to know how many WIA employees there are here right now?
No, Mr. Chair, but I can get that information and forward it to you guys. Or I'll request Director Torres to give you guys the information.
Thank you. And
Mhm.
what would you say is a department's biggest expenditure currently?
Well, I think in all aspects of our department, to be honest, um, due to the small budget that they've been receiving, and this is before I came along. I came along and found out that a lot of our printers did not have toners or inkjets. I found out that a lot of the water that we've been consuming are funded by employees themselves. I found out that we didn't have a bathroom. So I used majority of our budget this year to fix those issues. We can't do anything without taking care of our people first. So that and all the changes that the pandemic has brought to us, we had to change the way we receive customers. We created window services just so we're able to assist them without with keeping safe and everything like that. So a lot of our expenditures really was on the operational side.
At this time, I will now open the floor to the members, and I recognize Rep. Staffler.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, RD Cabrera. I again commend you for your excellent and thorough budget submission with lots of justifications. It answers a lot of questions already.
Thank you.
I was very excited to see your data, especially in the annual report at the end. It was really neat to see the difference between 2021 and 2022 with 90 private sector jobs increasing in your data report.
Mhm.
I wondered, what do you attribute to that increase? Like, what happened that there are 90 new private sector jobs?
I would probably say that it's the influx of the federal money, all the help that's been coming through our way. It has possibly allowed businesses to breathe and recover and create new jobs. Also, the thing is, new businesses has come about. And although they may not be huge corporations, but at least they're able to hire one or two individuals. Just today, or I'm sorry, yesterday, we had an individual come in requesting for JVA, job vacancy announcements. Yeah, so I with what I gather, it looks like it's more leaning towards the agricultural side and not retail, but stores.
Awesome.
Mhm.
And you mentioned NMTI and NMC. Do you collaborate with them?
I do. They have, I know it was sometime this year. I apologize, I forget the date, but NMTech did pay us a visit here in Rota, and they were conducting their outreach on all the core courses that they have. Although the one thing that it does present a problem because you do need money. Individuals who would like to take NMTech courses, they do need to travel to Saipan for their on-the-job training. They're unable to get their certification without being there, being present. And currently, I'm not sure if that's possible for a lot of people due to finances. So.
Thank you for sharing that concern. I do work with NM Tech and NMTI about hopefully working on apprenticeship programs that would help
Yeah.
address a lot of the workforce issues like construction workers.
Yes.
And so thank you for sharing. I will keep that in mind in our conversations in the future.
Thank you.
Forgive me, but where is the Department of Labor building located? Where are you?
The Department of Labor is located at the former high school. I did not attach the map there. I should have. I apologize.
No
but,
worries. I remember finance being in the mayor's office, so I wasn't sure if you guys were also squirreled in there.
we were in October 2020. We moved down to the high school, and that's the funny thing, as RD Dean mentioned earlier about needing funds about for the restroom. We moved into the building without restrooms. Apparently, that's not a part of the contract. The building was renovated, but the restrooms were set aside. I am not sure. It was before my time, so I'm not too familiar with what happened. But so far, as I mentioned, that's the most part of my budget went to renovating that not renovate, but I added a toilet, I added sink, a partition, doors, things that we couldn't they didn't give us. I tried to give my employees. So
It's a basic human need.
it is.
I mean, truly. And so God bless you for prioritizing that. Being that
you.
you haven't that when you arrived you had to deal with something as basic as that instead
Yeah.
of the bigger picture of labor. But
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I was also very interested in the unemployment data, considering that we don't have a unemployment program really established. How did you collect this data, and why did you collect it? I was curious.
We do have a collaboration with the NAP program. They are required to come to our office to register, and that's where we get our data from.
Cool.
As for reaching out to more unemployed individuals, because I do know that there are unemployed individuals that do not receive NAP. Their numbers are not counted here. So from the census population number, we have 1,800 individuals here in Rota. Back in 2021, our data of unemployed individuals was at 53. Today, we have 41 unemployed individuals, so it dropped 35% from the 2021 numbers. Population-wise, unemployed individuals are at a 2.3%. So it seems pretty low. However, the big factor of the low numbers is the ARPA funding. And the mayor of Rota is responsible for the low numbers. He has helped a lot of people. Well, he hired a lot of people. So therefore, that is why the population or unemployment rate is that low.
Noted. And one final question, Chairman. Will there be I don't know if I missed it, will there be summer jobs program this summer?
I did not get a confirmation. I believe the mayor would like to implement a program like that again.
Like a WIA program?
With WIA, I'm going to have to ask Director Torres as soon as she comes back. We normally just get that program off of the mayor of Rota. So I'm not too sure whether he's going to have it this year or budget permits.
Okay.
So
Thank you so much, RD Cabrera. You have done an excellent job in preparing this and explaining things very clearly. Thank you.
thank you.
Yield.
Thank you, Rep. Saffler. Any other members? I recognize Rep. Sablon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, RD
Hi.
Cabrera. Thank you for your presentation.
Thanks.
I was interested in your request to build your labor law enforcement capacity.
Mhm.
You mentioned you're looking to hire 2 technicians, correct?
Yes, yes,
And
ma'am.
and I wanted to ask you because I saw that you also provided your annual report for enforcement for labor,
Mhm.
and the number of business establishments that were inspected and the compliance rate there. And could you give us a better understanding of what What are the labor-related enforcement issues that you're seeing here? And what are your people actually inspecting for?
Well, we do regulate the employment of contract workers, as well as all workforce to make sure they're getting paid, they're being treated fairly, and so forth. So we pretty much mandate businesses with contract worker employees to report to labor. Um, that hence that is what the compliance report is. It's a quarterly compliance report, and how we go about obtaining that is to remind them at least a month before the report is due, and it's just a series of data. I'm so sorry,
Yeah.
Rep. Sablon. I do not have the report with me, but
That's okay. I guess I'm
work
just
off
curious,
from-
are they just
uh-huh.
reporting like the numbers of contract workers versus
Yes.
US workers?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's primarily what you're enforcing.
Yeah, and
Okay.
yes, and to make sure that um, employees are complying with all labor laws, such
Mhm.
as giving their employees their breaks, getting them paid on time.
I see.
Um,
So those
all
are, that's
employment-related
all in the
matters.
survey that your enforcement staff will.
It's a part of the duties that the enforcement has. But on the
Okay.
survey, I'm truly sorry about that.
That's
I should
okay.
have brought that over.
That's okay.
Yeah.
And do you keep data for the types of labor complaints that you receive? Like, do you have data on unpaid wages, for example, or delayed payroll, anything like that?
Thankfully, during my time as an RD, I have not gotten any complaints regarding that. For some reason, Rep, and I'm going to be honest with all of you guys, a lot of the community at large, they mistake us with the USCIS. We are not an immigration department. And unfortunately, we do get complaints about this individual is not, or his papers have expired. We do not have the authority to conduct an investigation on that.
Okay.
That's more immigration related matters.
Right. Okay. And do you have access to legal counsel?
We do centrally at Department of Labor stipend.
Okay. So
Ms.
through the
Jackie.
AG's office or
No, we
somebody
do
else?
have a hearing officer.
Mm.
So we get all of our legal information from her.
Is that Ms. Nicholas?
Yes, ma'am.
I see. Okay. And then my next question is about PUA. So have all the PUA payments been released to everybody that's qualified for it here on Rota?
To date, I have had several people come up to me asking for assistance, and as I no longer am affiliated with the program, what I do is forward their information and their concerns to the PUA office here in Rota.
So as far as
So-
you know, there are still people that are waiting?
I believe so, ma'am.
Okay. And then the last day to make for the Department of Labor to make all PUA payments is the end of June, correct?
I might have missed that, Rep. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I believe so, if that is what was put out.
Okay. Do you have an idea of how many people are still waiting here?
No, for Rhoda, I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was also interested in your unemployment data.
Okay.
And it is interesting that, so you track unemployment primarily based on the NAP data, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But do you have the data for PUA? Like how many people altogether either applied for it or were found to be eligible for PUA?
It will be the only data that the secretary has released. I have no further information after that.
Okay.
So I can try and find out and reach out to you. So I do know that because I say this because my son is one of those PUA applicants who have yet to receive their third round of PUA.
Okay.
And according to my son, it's due to auditing purposes. So
Hmm.
I'm not too sure.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I know there's still quite a few people on Saipan too that are still waiting. So, okay.
Yep.
I think that's it for my questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Kaur.
Thank you.
Thank you. I now recognize the vice chair.
Thank you, Chairman, and welcome again.
Thank you.
RD. So for 2022, you were approved a total of 7 FTEs. 5 are currently filled, and what were the other 2 that are still vacant due to no funding?
Okay, so for last year, I did ask for a labor employment certification worker 1
Okay.
and 1 labor enforcement, what was that, specialist 1.
Okay, and then for 2023, you are requesting for 2 additional FTEs for the job placement officer and the job placement assistant.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Reason being is I believe that having a job placement officer and an assistant can provide more data and can produce more services to the public versus having an additional certification worker.
If you were to choose 2 FTEs that could be offered to you, which of the 4 positions would you?
So thank you for your question. I would go for the job placement officer as well as 1 labor law enforcement specialist 1.
Okay.
So I need to be fair to both divisions. So
Just
Yeah.
we're trying to understand your priorities.
yes.
You're also requesting for 2 additional vehicles. What types of vehicles are you looking for, and how much are you looking for?
I would like to procure a truck so that they have the ability to access places like quarries, farms where we have some laborers working, just to pay them a visit and remind them that labor is still here and we still care, and that if they have any issues, they can talk to us. We're looking at about $52,000
For both vehicles? For the 2 vehicles or each?
for each vehicle. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now, in your budget package that you provided to us, you're requesting $41,200 for travel for training activities. And then you also have personal training costs requesting for $20,000. So the travel alone is just strictly for airfare and accommodations and stuff like that.
Yes, ma'am. I have big dreams and they cost a lot of money. And as I'm aware, we don't have a lot of trainers here in our area that can possibly produce the end results that I'm looking for our people. So yes, that's just for travel alone.
Okay.
For the personnel training costs, the reason why I'm asking for $20,000 is because even if we were to possibly go to the route of online training, it's going to cost. It's going to cost money. Applications such as Skillshare or Skillsoft, those are applications that cost money, especially if I'm trying to get a corporate account that's going to allow me to have anybody come in and create an account all for themselves, and also print out a certificate for
Mhm.
whatever trainings that they've successfully completed.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. On your budget, you also are requesting $10,000 under computer systems and equipment for software, but I believe you were also requesting for computers?
Yes, I would like to create a training lab that consists of about 4 computers.
For computers.
And that is for the use of the public, for government employees, as well as private sector employees. This $10,000 is more like to upgrade our systems. As I mentioned, we do have one computer that's very noisy and wakes me up in the morning when it's turned on. So those are the items that I would like to replace.
I'm just thinking like if you're going to spend money on upgrading your computer softwares, but your computers are old and obsolete, probably it would probably make more sense to just get a brand new computer so that all the upgrades are already installed.
Yes,
Just a thought.
I agree.
Yes. And then under office equipment, you are requesting for $30,000. Can you just kindly share with us what types of equipments are you looking to purchase?
I would like to upgrade everything that we have, printers. Yeah, we do need any type of equipment that might enhance our department, create our own brochures, instead of reaching out to the print shops that we have in Saipan. And you guys, I know you guys have an idea of how expensive that's going to be, and it's really costly
Sure.
being so remote in this area. Um, it costs a lot.
Okay. Thank you for those clarifications. Thank you.
You're
Chair.
welcome.
Thank you, Vice Chair. In the interest of time, I'll take one more if there's any. I recognize Rep. Lizama.
Thank you, Chairman. Welcome. So
Thank
far,
you.
you have a good presentation, but
Thank you,
I
sir.
just want a follow-up. When someone call you about an illegal or undocumented working for an establishment,
Mhm.
I know it's not your jurisdiction to go out there and arrest or do something to the individual that is working illegally. Do
Mhm.
you talk to the employer and train them or remind them that they're not supposed to you do that? That's the only way, the only thing you can do, correct?
Yes, sir. So to possibly provide support in ensuring that all employers are adhering to local and federal laws, we do need the transportation to reach out.
Mhm.
And although we have all kinds of technology, emails and stuff like that, the truth of the matter is sometimes people understand it better if it's a person to person type of communication. So it's pretty hard to do that if we're sharing one
That-
car.
Well, that identifies that
sir.
you really do need a vehicle.
Yes, we do, sir.
Yes, ma'am. And in regards to OSHA, you
Yes,
have
sir.
training in 2020 or nothing, or 21 and nothing on 22. Do you still continue to do that? The OSHA training is very important. And how many injuries do you have, if you have any?
Okay. Sir, as of right now, we don't have an extension office for Rota. We get our OSHA services out of the Department of Labor Saipan. There are OSHA representatives would take a trip over to Rota 2 or 3 times a year, depending on whatever needs they have on the island. And as much as possible, we like to announce their arrival so that if any company has questions or, they at least know that the OSHA people are here and to come to the Department of Labor because they are here to answer questions. So yes, to answer your question about trainings, we did have one last year. This is about the Fall Protection Act. We did provide them support by reaching out to businesses and inviting them over. We set up all the training facility and everything else that they're going to need. And to date, sir, we have no OSHA-related injuries.
Yeah.
That's been reported to the Department of Labor.
Oh, that's very good. You also need the OSHA to do spot checks.
I do.
And I guess you need to call them and do the spot check. Otherwise, you can set up just like what you did about having training for all the employers and employees. And that's a good standard right there. Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Lizama. And so with that, just want to take this opportunity to thank you, R.D. Cabrera, for your report. It as well as for coming before the committee this afternoon. I know the last time we met, you barely got on board as a new
Yes.
resident director, and so thank you for showing the committee the different projects and programs that you've are starting,
Thank you.
and so one thing that you mentioned that we'll be discussing this afternoon is the minimum wage, and we believe that or the author is here to answer any questions that the public may have. Um, and so we invite you to stick around and while we adjourn this meeting, and then we'll take a break and proceed with the public hearing on the minimum wage bill. And so again, thank you, R.D. Cabrera, for coming in today. And at this time, we'll excuse you and then invite you back.
Thank you,
Shortly.
everybody. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, members, that concludes the 5 agencies that we've heard from today. We move on to the next item on the agenda, miscellaneous. All right. As a reminder, we do have our public hearing at 4. It's already 4:01, but we'll begin after a few minutes of taking a break and inviting anyone that is waiting outside for the public hearing. And so with that, tomorrow we will begin at 10. We still have 5 agencies to hear from. I understand that the members will be leaving at the last flight back to Saipan, and so we'll be stricter on time, and so please bring your lunch. No, I'm just kidding. And so thank you. And so with that, can I get a motion for adjournment? Motion was made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. This budget hearing is hereby adjourned at 4:02 p.m.